Right, let's get some more analysis on these protests with Yogendra Yadav, a political activist who joins me from New Delhi also. I appreciate your time. First of all, I mean, the farmers have turned down the deal. It was an offer, so I mean, that's a good start, but do you think they were right to turn it down?
Of course they were. It was very absurd offer. If you ask, if in a factory someone says, I want better wages, I want the better hours of working, and the management turns around and says, we'll give you a nice gym. Isn't that a good idea? They would laugh at it. That's exactly what happened. The demands of the farmers are not as novel or as absurd as they might look. Remember, it's the government of India for the last 6 decades which has been announcing something called minimum support price for 23 crops. Farmers have not chosen 23 crops. The government of India has been saying for 60 years that there is some minimum price that farmers must get for every single crop. They announce it twice a year. Farmers are simply saying, please implement what you have been announcing. And it is not as absurd because all it would require is spending about 2 to 4% of the central budget for farmers who account for 54% of India's working population. It is not required. Unfortunately, the farmers' demand for the government ensuring a minimum fair price is conflated with the expectation that it would mean the government to purchase all the crops. That's not what the farmers are saying. Farmers are saying what's practiced all over the world. Farmers are saying, please use market intervention selectively and please make deficit payment as and when it's necessary, as is done in many European Union countries. So they are simply saying, please give us the fair price that you have been promising for the last 60 years. That's all.
Yogendra, you're talking quite sensibly about the perspective from the farmers there. What about the government's perspective? Because they feel like things have changed in the last 3 years, and their argument is that supporting so many crop prices at this point in time would be just pouring money into a black hole. They say the system's broken and that they need to fix that first before dealing with the farmers' plight. And there are a lot of experts who seem to agree with the government. I mean, do they have a point?
As your correspondent had pointed out, I think economists and experts are split down the line. And the change this time is many economists and experts have now come out to say, no, farmers are saying something sensible. Unless you consider rural India, which is two-thirds of India, as a black hole, I wouldn't understand what does it mean to pour into black hole. What it would mean is, and please once again remember, farmers are not asking the government to procure all these crops, put that in some kind of a storage, let it rot. No, that's not what they're asking for. And every economic study that we know shows, number one, that any rupee that goes in rural India has a better multiplier effect. So it's not merely the farmers, the entire rural economy picks up, India's economic growth picks up. So I would have said, not a black hole. Actually, this is the fastest way of, I mean, any penny drop in rural India has the best implications for our GDP, for economic growth, and for human development. It's an investment of the country into its own future.
Yogendra, the farmers showed in 2021 how resilient they are, and there were periods of violence in those year-long protests. I don't know about you, but I'm a little concerned. The government seemed to be taking it much more seriously this time round. Are you worried that this could get nasty?
Let me give you a sense of what it means to be serious this time. The government is using not only barricades and barbed wire, they're actually using concrete walls. The government has actually dug up its own roads and has put nails on the road. So this is what I mean by the government being serious this time. Farmers are saying repeatedly that we shall not resort to any violence. In fact, that is what the government dreads most. If the farmers were violent, actually it would be much easier for the government to control them and to demonize them. It is farmers' resolve not to be violent which worries the government. And let me also mention, as your correspondent mentioned, today is the day when, as we speak, tear gas shells are being used against the farmers. And tomorrow is a critical day because large number of farm unions, which includes mine own, who have not yet joined this protest are meeting tomorrow. And should they decide to join hands with this protest, then it is beyond this government to handle.
Yogendra, it's great to speak to you. Appreciate your time. Yogendra Yadav, political analyst, joining me there from New Delhi.